Hi, Neve.
Hi, Lynn.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's so great to have you here to chat.
Thank you.
We have a beautiful brand, and we're going to hear all about it, which I'm excited about. And how is the weather in Ireland, by the way? I didn't ask you that.
It's dry, so that's good. No, it's good. It's actually warm. But warm for us is like 90, well, we do Celsius, so 19, 20 degrees Celsius.
Oh, that's not that warm.
No, for you it's not, but for us,
No.
we're okay with that. I mean, it would be nice if it was a bit warmer, but like, you know, we're happy enough.
Interesting. I'm in Italy. I'm in Bologna right now. It's been a heat wave.
Yeah,
Heat wave. So actually today it just rained a little and I'm so happy that it cooled off. Bologna has all these porticos, so you never get wet if you can go
yeah.
outside and walk everywhere and it's amazing.
Yeah, mainland Europe is getting roasted at the moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but Bologna is also, I'm gonna tie this back to beauty.
Mm.
Bologna is also the original home of Cosmoprof, if anyone didn't know that,
Mhm.
which is a huge beauty trade show.
Yeah.
The one in the US I thought was massive because it's in Vegas in the summer, which is also like, why would you do Vegas in the summer?
Yeah, yeah.
That's also crazy. But the one here in Bologna is supposed to be even bigger. So I'm looking forward to going. It's in March every year. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
will be there next year.
I haven't been to it, but I know a good few Irish brands that go along just to, particularly people who outsource their manufacture. It's a great place for stuff like that. So
Yeah. And I like to walk the hall,
mm,
and just see what's there, look at trends,
mm,
meet people, get inspired by packaging. Maybe you meet somebody who's got an interesting formulation. Maybe you meet somebody who's a distributor. Like it's
yeah,
just, you never know, right?
yeah.
Sometimes,
You should go to In Cosmetics. Have you ever been to In Cosmetics? So it's the big,
yeah, I
yeah,
have.
love that show.
I've done the LA and the New York ones, and I know there's a Paris.
Yeah, so it was Amsterdam this year. I was there in
Okay.
March, and it was Paris last year. So they kind of go between the
Ah,
two, I think.
okay.
Yeah. So really good if
Interesting.
you're manufacturing, or even if you're not manufacturing, just to kind of
Just,
know
yeah,
new upcoming ingredients, and what's kind of trending and things like that. So yeah, it's great.
yeah, exactly. No, I love it. It's such an interesting industry that
Mm,
we're in because on some level, like I was sort of an outsider because I was in advertising, even though I worked in beauty,
mm.
I wasn't a brand owner or a brand manager or somebody who was like, worked at Estee Lauder kind of thing. But
Yeah,
now,
yeah.
obviously, it's changed. Now I'm really steeped in the industry. But one thing that I felt about this industry more so than others, because I've worked in almost every industry out there, right,
Mm.
is that it's very, I'm going to use a bad word because I don't know how else to say it, incestuous. You know what I mean? Like people are very closed if you don't know them, and it's very hard to infiltrate the beauty industry with the sort of who's who of beauty. But
Yeah.
once you do and you kind of get in there, it's like everything else, you're sort of in, but it's
Kind
not
of.
the most welcoming industry, I'll say that.
Yeah, it definitely, yeah, definitely tough. And I'm like you, that didn't come, I worked in catering management, and then I went into holistic health, like some natural health.
Okay. Yes,
That,
that's a little bit of a,
yeah. And then I kind of went from when I was using oils and essential oils in my clinic for well-being, that kind of led me into skincare. But like that, the beauty industry, it was tough at the beginning to kind of, when you come out of nowhere, no one knows who you are. But then
yeah.
you build credibility, you're launching products and they're getting great reviews and people love them. And it can take a few years, but we just have to keep at it.
Exactly. You just have to keep at it. And before you know, you're at least you go from being an outsider to an insider, and that's weird too.
Yeah.
It's good, but I think one of the most exciting parts of our business is all the indie brands, and that's what I am getting so much positive energy and just keeps me going, like yours and like a lot of the other brands in the collective, because we're doing things to try to make the world a better place, not just make a profit. Of course, we
Yeah.
want our businesses to be successful because otherwise we wouldn't have a business.
Yeah.
But I think our motives are a little different. I mean, so what inspired you to start your business?
Well, I suppose it went back to, it does go back to the treatment room. It was all around well-being, and it was about making people feel good. Like that's
Yeah,
what it was, like basic at the beginning. Because it was people kind of saying to me, "Oh my goodness, the smell of those, that smells so good. It reminds me of this and feels so lovely." And I suppose I started blending up those oils and selling them to the clients. And then I was kind of thinking, how can I get these beautiful ingredients into people's hands more?
yeah,
Skincare then was a really kind of obvious one. It's like, well, everyone uses skincare of some degree, whether it's one product or 15.
yeah.
So I
Or
started,
50 if you're into K-beauty.
yeah, exactly. So I started just making, like, learning how to make skincare. I'm in Ireland, but I went over and back to the UK, and I learned how to formulate from scratch. Because because I'm a control freak and I wanted to know everything. So I spent about 2 years doing that. So I suppose it came from this place of like wanting to make people feel good. And then as I sort of learned more and more and more, I really, like, people really wanted that feel good. They wanted products that are, ethical and have, meaning, and, you know, have, environmental and sustainability at their core, but they also wanted results.
Yeah.
So they wanted skincare products that worked. So I suppose when I started out, people were selling my type of products originally as an alternative to the good stuff, basically. So it's been really, like, it's been really challenging, but we've done it to build our credibility around, we are this natural, ethical, sustainable
Yeah.
brand. But we've taken all the great things from the cosmeceutical science-led skincare as well. So those active ingredients, and we've the brought them into that, those pure plant oils, plant butters, and all that sustainability piece as well. So it's really about ethics and results.
I love that.
Yeah, so and it's just that, like, I always felt you had to choose one before over the other. It's like you either go down the natural, green, clean route, or go down the cosmeceutical results driven route. And there was this big divide. So I decided, 5, 6 years ago, after I'd done my original blends, that I would start working with chemists, and we have an in-house chemist now, so we full control over everything that we do.
That's,
And it's those really pure ingredients, but those results as well. So people can have both, and
yeah.
that's important.
I think you're right. I think, it's funny, like maybe 10 years ago when there were a few products in the US that were sort of organic and
Mm,
kind of available, but they didn't work particularly well.
mm,
And so it did feel like there was a huge trade-off, right? It's
mm.
like even things like deodorant, right? Where you really want it to perform.
Yeah.
And so you could pick the natural one that's not going to give you cancer, or you
Mm,
could pick the one that's not going to have you smell and sweat. And it's like really not great. But
mm,
now, to your point, I think there are so many products that have figured out how to use alternative ingredients that are more efficacious
mm,
and natural and high performing. And I think what we're going to start to see, which I'm not the first person to say this at all,
mm,
is clean beauty is going to migrate to science-based,
mm.
good for you beauty.
Yeah, and that's like that's what we're doing, here. And I think we need to, and it frustrates me a lot when I see kind of, you know, crazy, crazy, I suppose, what's the word I'm thinking of? I'm tired.
I
It's the
know.
end
I'm
of the
sorry, it's
day, but
late for us.
when people are making crazy claims
Oh,
around,
yeah, yeah.
around, around ingredients and, like in Europe, for example, like we have thousands of ingredients that are restricted.
Yes.
So, whether you choose natural, green, or those more cosmeceutical, all the ingredients are safe, so
Yes.
so I feel that particularly in Europe anyway, that it does a big disservice to natural brands to be kind of like saying, well, all the other stuff is bad or dangerous, or I suppose it might be different in the US because you don't have as many restricted ingredients.
Oh my gosh, we
Yeah.
have so many fewer. We only have like 13
I know it's really low. Yeah. Yeah.
compared to 1,300.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's shocking, but no, that's super interesting. You're right. I think in Europe, you don't need to hammer that home because
No.
everything is essentially clean.
Yeah.
In the US, you can buy, it's funny, when I was at Atlas,
Mm.
which you're part of the Atlas San Diego.
Mm.
So, I I was talking to, actually, she might have been from, oh, she was from the Netherlands.
Mm.
So there was a really adorable girl with beautiful long hair, and she was there for a founder's launch event.
Mm.
And we got to talking, and she said to me, my hair is totally different here in the US. And I said, that's because what are you using? Did you bring your own product? She goes, no, I'm using the product in the hotel. I'm like, well, it's probably has sulfates. It probably has parabens. And she was shocked. So people don't even know. Like she was like, what? What do you
Yeah.
mean it has that stuff in it? I'm like, yeah, that's what we have in over 80% of the hair care products in the US still have it that you can buy in the supermarket.
Mm.
So
Mm.
Europeans are always absolutely blown away when they hear that, because they're like, how is that possible? It's like, well, our
Yeah.
government is focused on other things, apparently.
Yeah, so it is, so that for so that's a huge difference, I suppose, between selling a product in Europe and selling a product in America, that you really need to educate people on the
Yeah.
difference between our products and what they're buying on the shelves, because they're really not restricted. I remember I remember when I went to the FDA years ago to ask about, what the legislation was and everything. And they were like, no, it's now, I know you have to register now, but only at
Yeah.
a certain point. Um, and they were like, just don't put anything dangerous like chloroform in your skin. I was like,
Oh
what?
my God. Yeah. It's like, seriously? Well,
Yeah.
look, I think that exactly what you're saying. Let's dig into your products a little bit, because I think the interesting thing is you're ahead of the curve. Like so many people in the US are just starting to figure this out, but you've been doing it and you've perfected it. And I think one of the reasons I wanted to create the Power Beauty Collab is to help people find brands like yours more easily and know that they're brands that are already vetted, they're good for you, they're good for the environment. So you don't have to stress about like, well, I don't understand all these ingredients, because
Yeah.
that's the other thing. You look at the label, and there are several different ways that sulfates can appear on a label. It can show up as SLS, SLES, sulfate, like there's just different. And
Yeah.
if you don't know to look for that, you don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, okay. So what product was your first product that you made?
Oh my God, my first products that I made were body oils, which aren't really our big sellers anymore. It's all facial care. But I
Ah,
suppose the first product I'll tell you a funny story. That our hero product, but when I launched originally, I launched 17 products like a crazy person.
that's
When
a lot. Yeah.
crazy, I would not recommend it to anybody. But I had 16 products ready to go to testing. And at the last minute, I decided to create a facial oil. Okay. So I had met someone at an event a couple of months before, and she'd introduced me to argan oil. And I put it on my hand, and I remember just going, oh my God, it was like silk, and it disappeared, and it didn't sit on my skin. So I had a range of products. I still have them, called Love Your Skin. And it had lovely blend of essential oils of rose, pomarosa, benzoin, and frankincense. And it had a cleanser, a hand cream, moisturizer, toner in it. And I just thought, okay, I'm going to add a facial oil to that. Okay. Very last minute. Every product I did took several versions. Facial oil, I did one version, sent it away with the rest. And from day one, it has been our bestseller. Like it just
Wow.
flies off the shelf. So it's our little,
Wait,
oh,
wait. Yeah,
sorry.
there you up. There you
Uh,
go. There we go.
oh,
Anti-aging facial. That, yeah, and it's a good size bottle too.
so it's 30 mils, but it lasts for ages. Like it's
Yeah, that's
and it's a natural anti-inflammatory. So I don't know about the US as such, but probably rosacea is massive here,
oh,
particularly around
yeah.
perimenopause. On white-skinned women, it's just crazy here. So this is a really good anti-inflammatory. It's got naturally occurring oleic acid in it, so it just helps to reduce inflammation over time. But frankincense, again, an amazing ingredient. It's got boswellic acid in it, which has been proven in medical research even to help reduce tumors. So it's really powerful antioxidant, the frankincense. But like we just, to hear people kind of say that, look, I've been using it a week and people are commenting on how amazing my skin is, and people, it's just it walks off the shelf. People love it.
Well, it helps that your skin is so good. It's like literally, I'm like looking at you as you're talking, and your skin is like glowing.
I've been using nothing only Holos for like well, even before I launched the brand, I was always just using oils on my skin, so loads of oil. So I use a lot more now because obviously I have a brand and I have access to it all. Um, but yeah, that's all I've used for 14 years is my own product. So nothing else goes near
Well,
me.
that's a good, that's like a great testimony, right?
Yeah,
Because yeah,
yeah, yeah,
let's break the myth around oils because
yeah.
there are a lot of people who think that putting oil on your face is going to make it break out.
Yeah, yeah. So yes. So this was like a big job I had at the beginning, but now, I mean, Ireland, we love oils. But
Yeah,
yeah, so I suppose there's a huge difference. Not all oils are created equal. So we have
right.
a huge difference between mineral oil, which is a byproduct of petroleum, and plant oils, which are from plants. Mineral oil has a massive molecule size. It can't absorb into the skin. So it'll sit on the skin. So that's really great if you have someone who is really, really dry and you just want nothing to leave the skin, but nothing will get in either. So it'll sit on the skin. Whereas if you have a plant oil, and again, not all plant oils are created equal either. So you have, heavier plant oils or lighter plant oils. So argan oil, rosehip oil are plant oils that have a very small molecule.
Hmm.
So they absorb into the skin much more efficiently. So an argan oil is perfect for the face because it absorbs in and it gets into the epidermis, fills in lost areas of fat. It locks water in because water can't get through it. But also for oily skin, it trains the dermis not to overproduce sebum. So sebum is what comes from the dermis right up through the epidermis onto the surface of the skin. And if someone's very oily, it's producing too much. But when
Yeah.
you use a nice oil that gets into the skin and a little bit sits on the outside, it trains the dermis not to overproduce that oil. So it actually helps to balance out oil levels in the skin. The only reason this product would cause any excess oiliness or greasiness is if you use too much.
Yeah.
Literally, so I would always say to people to start with 4 drops.
Yeah. You don't need a
Maybe
lot.
you need to go up one if you're very dry. Maybe you might, depending on, if you're putting things on afterwards, whatever, maybe you need to come down. But definitely 4 is a nice happy medium. Don't use more, don't use a full pipette. It's literally drops. So it's all about the amount. Less is more. But yeah, like
So
it,
true for so many of our brands and my hair care too. I say to people, do not use too much because you're gonna like just hydration bomb your hair. Like you don't need to have that much. Uh, but the beauty is like, even though people say, and you probably hear this too, well, it's expensive.
Mm,
But when you can take that jar, that
mm,
30 ml jar, and probably use it for 6 months,
mm.
that's what people have to think about, the value and the
Yeah,
quality of the ingredients inside. It's
yeah,
so good.
yeah,
And when you can only, if you only need to use a couple drops, it's like, wow, that's amazing. So I think that's
yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah, yeah. It's look, there's lots of education around around skincare, I suppose, and there's lots of misinformation out there, and TikTok is just like, for young people that are trying to become influencers, and they're like, talking about skincare and they don't know what they're talking about, and they're giving bad advice, and ingredients that are young people are using that they shouldn't be using, and it's kind of crazy out there. So there is, we spend a lot of time as a brand educating people so that they can make
Yeah.
informed decisions, and just being straight up going, this is the information, this is what's in it, this is what people are saying about it, this is the results you should be getting, so it's just a lot of that, and it is tough on people like skincare and beauty. I mean, it's a crazy industry. There's so much noise,
So much.
so many trends. And I'm sure, Lynn, you find the same. Like for us, like we're trying to find a loyal audience. We want
Right.
people to
Yeah,
buy our products and buy them again and again and again. Like
absolutely.
this whole kind of trend-led beauty is crazy. Like it's unsustainable. Like how can we launch new products every few months because of the latest trend and just ditch the old ones? Like it's just not. It's wasteful, doesn't fit our ethos or what we're about. So it's really, we have to educate, and we have to, you know, make sure that the people who are buying are loyal and love the brand. So they have to be getting results.
Yeah, you're right. But you do have a pretty good sized product line. Like
Yeah.
I only have four formulas,
Mm.
and then I have, a hair towel, a scrubber, some other
Mm.
things. But like you have a more robust line than I do. So what else do you have in there?
So we have about 20, we've 24 products.
Okay.
So this another really good, it's a pre and probiotic spritz. So
Yeah,
this is
that
from
looks
our
great.
supernatural activity range. This is like our second bestseller. It's got prebiotics to feed the good bacteria on the skin, and probiotics then, which are the good bacteria.
Mm.
This, I suppose, we launched this March 2020, that lovely month we all remember.
Yeah.
It was like so many people were using it because of masks and their,
Oh, that's
yeah,
true.
excuse me. Like it's basically, it feeds the good bacteria on the skin, and the more good bacteria, the less breakouts or redness or blemishes or imbalance. So it just protects you against the pathogens that might be in the air. Excuse me, in your cup.
Yep.
I'm
You
talking
okay?
to
You want to grab a drink?
I'm okay. I'm getting excited because I'm talking about skincare. Um, but yeah, so this is just you spritz it on morning and evening. You can even do it during the day over makeup. And it just boosts the immunity of the skin. So, and again, has your lovely plant waters, and the science then with the prebiotics and probiotics in there as well.
I think that's a really interesting way to do what is essentially a mist or a toner, because a lot of them are more less versatile, I'll say.
Yeah.
And and I like the idea of, having products that multitask, because, if you can find three or four great skincare products, usually for most people that's enough. Like you don't need to have 20.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Like we have our This Is More range, which is three products.
Yeah.
That was that was created with that like kind of multi-use idea in mind, like the multi-use oil. So that can be used for as a cleansing oil, a makeup remover, a body oil, hair oil, scalp oil, nail oil, beard oil. It's kind of like your family oil. And then the Get Better butter, which hands, face, body, whatever. It's for, you know, those really dry, irritated parts. So for, you know, we have kids, adults, men, women, everyone using that because it's just it's healing. It not actually won the Free From Skincare Awards a few
Oh,
years ago.
nice.
So it won the problem skin category and it won the entire awards because it was the most highly had got the most points because it was sent out to people with problem skin, people with
Ah,
eczema, psoriasis, dry skin. So they were actual, you know, the testers had these problems. So it nearly got full marks. I think the price was slightly, it was the only, it lost a few points. But you know, just and I think those products are particularly, they're important for people who may have sensitivity, can't use a lot of products, or then for people who just are low maintenance, you know, don't want to use the 10 products or the 40 products or whatever.
can't afford to have so many. I mean, these days people are making more mindful choices, right, about where they're spending their money. So that's interesting too. But your point about the beauty judges is interesting because I find a lot of beauty awards just have people that are generalists, right? So they'll be testing my hair products, but they might not even, I mean, they
Yeah,
may have completely, they might have keratin treatments or extensions or things that are not going to work. And
yeah.
yeah.
I think you have to be kind of careful, like the awards span from, you know, the I suppose we have like magazine and editorial awards, and then you've got like, you know, professional industry awards, and then you have like awards bodies that actually run it as a business. Now, even though they run them as a business and you pay to enter, quite often they have the better kind of judges and testers. It really, you really have to kind of look around and do your research
Yeah.
for finding, you know, the right competitions to enter, or you know, whatever. There's loads of them, so you just, yeah, the Free From Skincare Awards in Europe, and you should enter, you can enter those.
Well,
Like,
we've won a ton of awards as well. I mean, we've won Cert Clean a couple of times. We've won Beauty Innovation Award. We've won gosh, we've won I think 5 or 6 awards, every single one of our products, which is great. But I look at it more as just a little bit another seal of credibility from an unknown brand, right? Because people don't know us. So it just gives them a
exactly.
little bit of like, okay, this brand can't be that bad.
Yeah,
If other people are saying it's,
yeah.
because I think we have to work 10 times harder than celebrity brands, than known brands, than anyone else.
I'm look, I can't, I shouldn't, I shouldn't be giving out about, but celebrity brands. I just, you know, when it's infuriating when you work so hard to become the expert in what you do. Um, and you do become the expert because every part of the journey is on you, you know, so you have to
Yes.
learn everything. So when someone comes out and just puts their name to something and they're like, "Oh, I've spent so long working on this," it's like, "No, you haven't. You don't know."
Well, even I always think it's also interesting when there's people that come out like, I will throw a little bit of shade, but just because okay, I will give him some props because I just saw the F1 movie, I did really enjoy it. But my point is stick in your lane of acting, Brad. You're really good at
Yeah.
that. But
Mm,
like, he doesn't have great skin.
mm.
Why would he launch a skincare line?
I don't know if that's even still around though, is it?
I don't think it is. I have to look it up and see, but like, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, you don't have any credibility in that
Yeah,
space. You don't even have it's, I get it. If somebody has like unbelievable hair and they launch a hair care line, you're like, okay, that makes sense.
yeah.
Um, but like,
I
yeah,
think
these,
I think he said something though at the time, didn't he? He said something really, he used the wrong term, or I can't remember what it was. It was something he was talking about it, and what he said just made no sense. And like everyone just went, "What?" It was so obvious that he hadn't a clue, you know, and it's just it's just annoying. I'm
I
like,
know.
if you're going to put your name to something, learn about it, you know?
Yeah, but I guess when you're doing so many things, he's got the vineyard and he's got a production company, making it's like, yeah. But then it's like, leave it to your point, let us handle the beauty stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Uh, anyway, okay. So then what else are you working on? What's next?
So the one thing we're asked for all the time is SPF. So that's
Yeah.
big.
And that's a tougher one because it is more regulated.
Yeah, so it's really regulated and it's tough as well because everyone wants mineral,
Yeah.
but no one wants the chalkiness of mineral.
Right.
So, I'm always talking to customers and doing polls and asking them, and they don't really seem to understand that that's what comes with the mineral. But we have found some really great, zinc oxide and titanium, um, suppliers and manufacturers and really great experts in Europe. So we're just there. My chemist came into me today and said she has a formula that she thinks is ready now to go for testing. Um, so it's gonna go on like a chemical one, so
Yeah.
that great spreadability, no whiteness, but it's mineral SPF. So hopefully by I would say the end of the year or beginning of 2026, we'll have our SPF. We're going to do a facial one and a lip balm. So
Oh,
that
I love that.
yeah. So
You
that
should talk to Kat from Sundrunk because she had a beautiful mineral SPF that it was a little thinner in terms of the texture. So when you put it on, it didn't leave that. It was a really nice texture. She ran into issues with her manufacturer in Florida. They weren't going to continue to manufacture it. So I think she's discontinued that, but like the product was a good product, really
yeah
good product.
yeah
And that's what also is hard for us as small brands is we are completely tied to, well, you're not so much because you guys have your own,
yeah.
but like I am, I'm completely tied to my manufacturer.
Mm,
So if they ever said, you know what, we're gonna close.
mm.
Oh my God, that would be challenging, right?
Yeah, yeah. I suppose that, and look, there's pros and cons to both. Like,
Yeah.
whether you do your own manufacturing or not. Like we do our own manufacturing, which is great. We have great control, but my God, is it a big
Geez.
undertaking? Like, I've spent a lot of money on this premises. Where we just today I had to send out, we had just a random health and safety inspection. Now I'm a stickler for that stuff, so we were fine. We passed with flying colors, but it's a huge undertaking.
Yeah.
But you've got that control. But then, yes, with a manufacturer, you've got that expertise, and hopefully you build up a good relationship. But then, yeah, you're at their mercy if something goes wrong or they decide to discontinue an ingredient and they're not going to carry it. Like there's all that sort of thing. Like we had one product a couple of years ago that we used to get partially made outside, and then we would bring it in and we'd customize it. Um, and they just all of a sudden stopped making it
Mm.
and didn't tell us.
Ugh.
So we 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 reverse engineered and we got it right, and we managed to make it ourselves, even though it's so funny that like even with the formula, it still wasn't working out the way it just took so many goes to get it right. But we're doing it ourselves now. We do everything now ourselves. So uh,
Well, that is the advantage, is to your point, you can control it at least.
yeah, yeah. No, it's great. I love that we do it all ourselves, and I love that we're building this team of experts in-house. It's great, but it's not an easy thing to do. Like I think we're the only actual, no, we are the only brand in Ireland that is manufacturing in Ireland and using active ingredients. So it's not just, plant oils and plant,
Yeah.
but we're using actives as well. Most brands are, there's a few brands that are manufacturing themselves, but they're not in the actives. They're not in that kind of, really like they might be, they use plants and oils and stuff like that. But so we are quite different to other brands in Ireland.
Interesting.
Uh,
Yeah. And
yeah,
Ireland has um, quite a few beauty brands.
yeah, we're really, the
Really?
last
Yeah.
10 years has been really, some great Irish brands. And it's lovely to see because, when you go into, and I'm sure you've noticed when you're in Europe, like you go into, Italian beauty outlets, it's Italian brands. You go to France, it's French brands. You go to Germany, it's German brands. Ireland didn't have that. We had all the, the French, European brands. Now we're starting to see, you go into Irish pharmacy, and Irish pharmacies are really lovely. Like they're different to American drugstores. They can be beauty and gifts and
Mm,
beautifully curated. But we're starting to see shelves full of Irish brands now, and that's so good to see.
yeah.
So, you know, so it's great that we're kind of moving out of Ireland then as well into Europe, into the US, and that's what I suppose, we've got our US website now and we sell in the US. And look, it's early days for us, but being part of your collective, which is just like amazing to be connected with other people in the field, and it's a real comfort to a brand, particularly coming out of, I think, are there any other brands that aren't American, or you have some European brands as well?
We've had a few. In fact, one is just joining who is primarily in Dubai.
Okay.
And we had an Australian brand but but yeah, it's mostly US brands, but I think the reality is we still go through the same stuff. I mean, you and I are talking about this stuff, and it's
Yeah.
as a small, indie brand,
Mm.
no matter where you are, you're still dealing with, customer acquisition
Yeah.
challenges and inventory challenges
Yeah.
and cash flow issues and, those same things. So it's,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Why? I mean, why do we do it to ourselves?
I know. I mean, there are days I wonder that, but then I also love it. I love it. So it's almost like it's a self-inflicted thing, I suppose.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. It is. We're a special breed, I think, people who just, work for themselves and, as
yeah.
well. It's because you
Well,
do.
I think we all I think I could tell from what you were saying earlier, and I know I'm like this. We want control,
Mm. Yeah.
not just of our products, but of our life.
Yeah. Yeah, completely. Yeah, you want to, and you want all of the information because you want to make good decisions, and yeah, and part of that, we're also trying to do the same with our customers and our community, with our brands, by
Yeah.
educating, making them as beautiful and as clean and green as possible, you know?
Well, listen, I've loved this conversation. So interesting. Do you have any parting words of advice for maybe people that are thinking about switching out their skincare? What do you think?
I think start really simple, like with a facial oil even, and I promise that if you go from using your kind of mainstream over to plants and oils, within a few days you will notice a difference. Like I that's a promise that I make to
I
people. I
love that.
know that, I believe in plants and oils and butters so much that I just know that I see a huge difference.
Okay, amazing. Well, thank you so much. And I look forward to seeing you. Maybe I'll see you in Europe one of these days.